Hi there, Jonathan here, Central North Island, New Zealand. How are you? Hope your day's going good. Got a few things to do today, sort of tidy up jobs. One of them is to have a look at 3 pipe sculpture pieces that I picked up that just need a bit of a tidy up. So I'll show you those in a minute, but we'll come back to them later. And then I've got some braces to pull off down in our summer garden just to make a bit more room, so I'll take you down there and pull them out and just show you why they're coming out. And I've got some waratah stakes, those steel 3-sided stakes. They used to be called waratahs, I don't know if they are anymore. I've got some of them to pull out, and I've got a tool to do that with, which haven't had that long, well, a year or so, but if you've come across stakes, wooden and steel, like these ones that don't come out very easily, this tool might be just what you need. So I'll show you that, but I'll just show you these pipes and then we'll go and get into that and come back to looking after these pipes. Let's go and have a look. So I got these 3 pipe sculpture things from our local dump shop, which I've talked about before. I think back in the sculpture video I talked about them, where I got some lampshades from. So it's just a refuse station, quiet little one out in the middle of nowhere, and they have quite a good shop there where people take things that are better than the dump for sale. So I grabbed these 2. So they're terracotta, and they are Morris and James, which was a company in operation up north of Auckland, up in Warkworth, who have since closed down, I'm led to believe. But they came out with these glazed pots. This one's glazed black. There's a red one, another black one. The previous owner, who I guess was probably a local, painted them black, or somebody painted them black. Maybe not the previous owner, maybe they got them from somewhere. But yeah, they painted all this funny black. So I'm going to buff them. I could probably try and wipe them with turps or something, but I'm going to just get a wire brush and buff them on the grinder, and I don't think it's going to scratch them too much. I have done that sort of thing before on terracotta, so I'll give it a go and see how it goes. And I might even get some enamel black paint just to touch these up. It's not the end of the world. In fact, it doesn't matter at all, does it? But I might, just because I can do it. I have some concrete sealer as well, which is white, so if I do paint them, I'll just gently paint them with a little brush just to stop the black paint from soaking into the terracotta. But yeah, they'll be quite good standing up in the garden. People do have them. However, I can tell you that they only cost me $10. So we've got a white garden where everything is green leaves and white flowers. Only white flowered plants allowed. It's not really Sissinghurst, or it's not trying to be, but it is trying to be green leaves and white flowers. And on the edge of it, we've got what we call a summer house, summer garden. So it's a shade house. So I'm going to take these braces off because they're not holding any. There's no pressure on these posts anymore, especially the timber going across. They've also braced from pole to pole. So I'm going to whip these off because it'll give me more room in my garden. What I was originally wanting to do in here is have a meandering path . So now with these braces gone, there's a bit more freedom in here to make some windy curving sort of a path. I can wander up through there, whip out that hydrangea just there, curve around this Varroa rhododendron here, so I can come around here, and we're just gain a bit more garden space and a bit more of an interesting path. We can pop out to the left there, or when I move that iron and extend the roof out a bit, the shade part, it can go off out there. So instead of just having that straight line. So I want to pull this waratah out of the ground, which is a steel stake, usually used for, well, for electric fencing really, I suppose, because it's got holes in the back and you can attach the clips and pieces. I've used it for that screen that I had here around the maple that I moved the other week that you saw. Really hard to get out of the ground because they hold on so well, even though it's wiggly. It's probably about that far in the ground. So if you have one of these, it makes it easy. They're not very expensive, so if you've got stakes to move, this is the thing. You can also pull out wooden stakes with this. You just need to normally hook a little piece of chain around it. A piece of rope or something would possibly do around the wooden pole as well, wooden stake. But I'll show you how easy this makes life. So hopefully you can see what's going on. So that stays bolted on all the time. That's just the way that's all there is to it. I actually sit it on a block just because the ground might be soft, and it gives me a bit more purchase, or a bit firmer base. I usually try and get it in fairly close, like that. Lift that right up. So you put this hook around. This piece will be the one that pulls up against it. So as I pull, or as I push I should say, it goes up. Slide that down for another bite at it. Again. You could use a shovel and dig it out, but you'd end up with a huge hole. Whereas this just slips it out. And like I say, you can't very often pull them out by hand. I have tried quite a few. It's definitely a lot of strain, and some of them still don't come out, so why not just make it easy for yourself? See, it was in the ground. It's a good ½ metre in the ground, so that made it way easier to get out. And it's just that hook there. That hooks around the waratah, around there, and just easily push it up and down. So I tried a grinder on these, a grinder machine with the wire brush, and it didn't really work. Kind of was a bit rough on it, but it wouldn't take it off at all. So I gave up on that one. I tried methylated spirits, turpentine, white spirits. I even tried petrol, and none of them would work. So I'm wondering if it's actually a glaze. It's just that it's so stripy that it doesn't look. I just heard a noise over there. Wondered what it was. So stripy looking that it looks like it was just painted, but maybe it was a glaze done as a rough coat. Maybe they were a second. I don't know. So my next test is going to be some strip off, paint stripper. So I'm going to try some of this on it, just on a little patch of it. I'll leave it for, it says 30 minutes or an hour, and I will see if that works. And if that works, that's fine. I'll strip it all off, scrape it off. If it doesn't work, what I'm going to do is just give them a really good rub and wipe down just to get all this green stuff that's on them. Just clean them up, scrub them down, and I'm going to just paint that bottom half instead, because there's not much contrast between the blacks, so I don't think they look very good. This looks okay, but anyway, I'm going to paint the bottoms if I have no success with the stripper. So like I say, if it's a glaze, pottery glaze put on it, then it's not going to come off with this. So I'll make sure I put plenty on, because that's what the instructions say. Actually, they say to put gloves on too. I'll put them on the bench. I don't know if that counts. I am only doing a little area, of course. I'm not painting a whole wall of a building. I do a couple because I don't want to go too far up them. Yeah, it's not like I'm sloshing it on a full-size job. So perhaps I should wear them, but I've already started. Yeah, so it says put on a thick coat, leave it for an hour or half an hour, have a look at it. If it hasn't changed, leave it for a bit longer, or another half hour or so. Just don't let it completely dry, which makes sense. Well, I guess it was not a lot of surprise, but the paint stripper didn't work on these, and all the other solvents and chemicals and stuff I used also didn't work, including wire brush. So I have decided, after scrubbing them and giving them a clean with the brush, I'm going to just paint this bottom half. So I'll just do I've got this pigmented sealer first, so I'm just going to use that to start with, which is for concrete and things that absorb a great deal. So I will just give them a paint. There we go. I'll leave those to dry for a day. Put another coat of something else on them, another colour. So I've got some paints here. I was going to do it in this one, which I think is a grey colour. It doesn't look that grey, I suppose it does. But anyway, that's the dried colour there on the outside. So I was going to do the bottom of these columns in that colour, but it wasn't quite the colour I was after. I really wanted a silvery blue, kind of like a plant, like say a dusty miller or a conifer, that sort of that nice grey blue. And I've got this, I had this, which is enamel gloss, exterior, interior. So I've got that one, which is that colour, which was a bit too bright. And I had some white, which was enamel interior, exterior gloss. So I put white and blue together, my special paint mixing formula that I made up just now, that I know nothing about. But I added white to blue, and it's a bit lighter. So it's not quite as bluey as I was hoping. Sort of, I don't know. I think it'll be all right. Get to the end and find out. So I think these are looking all right, actually, this colour. I don't know about you, but I'm actually pretty happy with those. I didn't want to use green. I wasn't trying to make them natural like a tree or anything. They're supposed to be they're supposed to be sculptural, bright, stand out. Put them out in the garden, and then that'll be that little job done, and they'll look pretty groovy. So in here is where I'm thinking of putting these three columns. I'm going to pull these rocks out, and I'm going to put them in amongst this moss. I'd thought of getting another moss, and then I looked out the window from the house and thought, well, I could just edit this little area, have a change around. So I think if I can carefully slide this out and stand them up in amongst here, we'll see them from the house, and they'll already have a ready-made plant. The moss isn't anchored onto the rock, so I don't have to rip roots or anything. It's just going on across it like a mat. Watch your fingers. So once they're out, like that, I bought a few rods to put in these columns. I might put some stones in the bottom of them. So we've got 3 heights, haven't we? We've got that one. I think that's more the angle I was looking for. But once the moss grows around it a wee bit more underneath, it'll help them acclimatise, especially if it grows around this side towards the deck a little bit. Will be a good view from this side as well then. Right, something like that. Maybe a little bit of new mulch around the back of them to make it look a bit prettier until the moss grows. Yeah. I'll bring you in closer and you can see better. So I think having them crossing just a little bit is good and slightly angled, and this one on the left here has that curve in it as it was made as well, so it's kind of leaning to the right but it's trying to come up straight again. So I think they're good crossing, and you get different view as you walk around them, as you go past them. Once the plants fill in a bit, and I've got these are, I'll show you those azaleas in a minute. Yeah, that'll do. Get that moss growing around the back of it here. Bit of new mulch in the meantime, but these azaleas out here, they get quite a bit bigger, so they'll reach in towards the moss and kind of cover in the area a bit. And this little sweet Emily Kate camellia will also grow out a bit. It's only a small one and it is growing, but it's been there a few years. But those azaleas, they'll get big like this. They're azalea fire tower. They're quite a cool colour actually. Just getting ready to sort of come into flower. That's colour, it's sort of like a burnt orange, I suppose, like an autumny burnt orange kind of a colour. Yeah, so they're like, I don't know, they're about nearly 3 feet wide, 900 mil wide. About 500 mil high, half a metre high. So that's what those out there will go like. About the same size as that variegated buxus there, more or less. So there we go. At last, the $10 pipes are finished. Well, thanks for joining me for these odd few little things that we did, pulling out posts and things and playing with these pipes. Hope it was a little bit interesting or a bit humorous or a bit what's he up to, but maybe we all came across a few ideas and a few things. Maybe that tool for pulling out the waratahs might be a good idea for you. They're not expensive. I don't know how much, might have been $70 or something, I'm not sure, but not astronomical, and just saves your body and everything so much getting them out of the ground. But yeah, thanks for coming along. If you liked what you see, click on a like or subscribe to me, leave me a comment, and that's all from me, Jonathan, middle of the North Island, New Zealand. We'll see you on the next one. See you later.